Hello everybody and welcome to my very first video. And today we are going to be talking about the protocol that runs the internet. Yes, I am talking about Border Gateway Protocol, also called as BGP. So in this quick video, we will see two things today. One is going to be what is BGP? And the second part is going to be why do we need BGP? What is the relevance of BGP, right? It's going to be super easy. So let's get right into it. So when we think of the internet or the global internet and how the internet is architected, you can think of the global internet as being large number of independent networks, right? So it could look something like this is an independent network, 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 this is an independent network. And we also call these independent network as ASS or autonomous system, right? So this could be, let's say, AS1, this is AS2, this is AS3, AS4, AS5, AS6, right? So it might look something like this. Let me quickly draw some sort of connection between them. Okay, so this is how it might look like. And these ASS are operated by different organizations. So an organization could be company like Facebook, Google, Microsoft. It could be US agencies like US Department of Defense or Postal Services. It could be universities like Harvard, MIT, Stanford. It could be ISPs like Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, even some of the smaller ISPs you might have in your region. That could also be an AS or an independent network on the internet, right? And when we look at the routing that happens within an AS or within an independent network, let me quickly write that down. Routing that happens within an AS or within an independent network, um, that type of routing is called as intra-domain routing. Intra-domain routing, and the protocol we use for intra-domain routing, that is the protocol we use to route within an independent network, within an autonomous system, is called as interior gateway protocol. And a couple of the most common or the popular interior gateway protocol, lot of the organizations use today is OSPF and ISIS, right? In fact, you could come up with your own interior gateway protocol if you wish to, right? The second, conversely, the routing that happens between ASS, right? The routing that happens between ASS is called as inter-domain routing. It's called as inter-domain routing. And the protocol we use to route the packets between ASS, right? Let's say we want to route between this and this AS or this and this AS. The protocol to route between ASS is called as exterior gateway protocol. And the de facto protocol for EGP is, that is correct, it is BGP. So Border Gateway Protocol or BGP is a protocol we use to route packets between ASS or between independent networks, right? So that was the what part of BGP. Now let's look at the why part of BGP. Now, one might ask, why do we need BGP? We have so many routing protocols already available. When you look at the intra-domain routing protocol like OSPF, which is a perfectly fine protocol, OSPF is going to route packets based on the shortest path available, right? Why can't we use OSPF or the other inter-domain protocols we have in place? Well, there are a couple of reasons, right? But the primary reason is because the goals of an intra-domain routing protocol and an inter-domain routing protocol are different. The goal of an intra-domain routing protocol is to efficiently route packets from point A to point B, right? Within its network, within its independent network, it needs to route packets efficiently from point A to point B. So we could use something like OSPF for that, for example. But in contrast, when we look at the inter-domain routing protocol like BGP, it needs to worry a lot about politics. That is correct. It needs to worry a lot about politics, right? So what do I mean by this? If we look at this internet diagram that we just made, let's take an example, right? So let's say that there is a user in AS3, we'll call this as user 1, that wants to send some sort of packet to user in AS2. Okay, user in AS2, or sorry, that's user 2 in AS4, right? So the user 1 in AS3 wants to send packets to user 2 in AS4. Now, when we look at this internet diagram, we can see that the shortest, you could say like the path that exists is for AS3 to send packets to AS6, and AS6 will route it to AS4, right? But that's not how it actually happens in the real world, because in the real world, the AS6 might just say to AS3 that, you know what, I do not want to carry your transit traffic, right? Whatever transit traffic you are sending to me, I do not want to carry it. There could be a couple of reasons. One might be AS6 might just say to AS3 that you're not paying me for it, so I'm not going to carry it. So for me to carry your traffic, you either need to pay me, or if you are willing to carry my traffic, I'll carry your traffic, right? Um, and if AS3 and AS6 do not have agreement between them, in that case, the alternative path that AS3 needs to take to deliver the packet to AS4 is to go via, let's say, AS1, and then it would go to AS2. From here, it would go to AS5, and then from AS5, AS5 might have agreement with AS6, right? Then it would go to AS6 and then finally to AS4. So BGP needs to worry about these kind of agreement, right? And when we look at within an autonomous system, the router that implements the BGP routing process is called as a BGP speaker, right? And the BGP speaker is going to route the packets based on BGP routing table, and the routing and the BGP routing table of an AS or within an AS is a reflection of policies, governance, or agreements that exist between ASS, right? So some examples could be there could be policies within or some sort of agreements in an AS saying that, let's say, any traffic that is traversing AT&T in Australia should not come to us, or we should not use AT&T in Australia because maybe it has a performance issue. Let's say an AS is US Department of Defense. So they might have a policy saying that any traffic that is generated from us or it's coming to us should never transit Iran, right, for security reasons. Google might have a policy saying that any traffic generated from us or coming to us should never transit Microsoft, right? So these are kind of like policies um, which exist within an AS, and these policies are typically converted into like a BGP routing table, and the BGP protocol is going to look at the routing table and it's going to route the packets accordingly on the internet, right, to go from point A to point B. So that was the Y part of the BGP, right? So BGP is an exterior gateway protocol, which is going to route packets between ASs, and it is going to do so by looking at the BGP routing table, which is formed as a reflection of the policies or agreement that exists between ASs, right? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching.